Welcome to Sun and Moon Yoga's YouTube channel. I am Annie Moyer, and I call this class Wide Open, not so much for the body, but for the mind. I will confess that my attraction to the appeal of yoga for me is not the physical body, and it's not how I came to yoga. I came to it sort of uh, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, seeking some sense of belonging, some sense of peace, some sense of ways to answer to the pain I was experiencing in the world. And what I've learned in these 25 plus years of study is that the body can be seen as merely a vehicle, a necessary vehicle to be in the world and to shape and shift and arrange and plot how we exist in our perceptions of experience. And when we are wide open, when we can find physical space in the limbs, in the flesh, in the tissue, in the organs, in the heart and the breath, when we can find physical space there, I believe it helps us find mental, emotional, spiritual space in our consciousness. And the purpose of that space is not only and not barely to ease our own suffering, but to see the truth of the suffering of others and find the wisdom and the courage and the strength to do something about it. And I do believe that this is where we have found ourselves in the year 2020, this summer in America, is we can no longer deny the suffering of others. And we need to be questioning, to be wide open in our minds to answer the questions of how did we get here? What is the history of this? What is the truth of this? And what is our role in either perpetrating it or ignoring it or benefiting from it consciously or unconsciously? And my practice right now is devoted to that, to being wide open, to finding truths and understanding what to do about them. All right, we're going to begin standing. So come to your mat and bring your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Not a big wide stride yet, but just feet a little bit wider than the hips. And be supple in the knees and start to swirl. Big circular movements around and around. Big circles. And you can play with how big those circles get. And for me and my body, the bigger I make the circles, the more I need to bend my knees and the more I hinge at the hips as the pelvis circles backward and open at the hips as the pelvis circles forward. So you can experiment and you can then at some point reverse the direction of circles. You can try small ones, just small circuits around. And you'll notice that the knees don't need to be very bent and the crease at the hips doesn't show up so much. And then the wider they get, the more supple, the more bend, the more open, the more leaning back and forward and side to side. And isn't that interesting? The more we open, the more flexible we need to be, the more things have to shift, right? So we can stay in our small circular bubbles and we can be fine here. Not much will change. I believe it's time for change. So I'm going wide. All right. And then pause in a comfortable position, standing up. And now take the arms out and begin to swing them one in front and one in back, side to side, crossing the midline. And then you'll notice the wider the arms, the more the torso turns. And the more the torso turns, the more it makes sense to bend the knees a little bit as you shift from side to side. Of course, the breath is important. The breath, always present. Do we take it for granted? How can we emphasize and amplify the way energy moves through us by tending to the breath? And now, instead of side to side with the arms, swing them in circles. So now the circles are happening in the torso, above the pelvis. But the pelvis isn't totally immobile. It turns, it responds. And so you see, the body can be this constant reminder that nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing exists as an island unto itself. Nothing is not affected by everything else. There is no muscle that is unto itself and not connected by some relative tissue to muscles around it. There is no organ that is not connected to the tissue and the muscles and the glands and the organs around it. So circling, and then put it all together in your own personal dance, inspired by my friend Andrea and her trance dance. So swinging, circling, swaying, shifting, and opening. That's the work here. The body as a vehicle toward opening in every possible way. All right. And now come to a quiet, still point, centered. Take the feet a little bit wider now and have the toes pointing forward so your feet are parallel to each other. Outer edges of the feet in line with the outer edges of your mat. Inhale, reach up, 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 up. Look up between your two hands. And on an exhale, wide sweep of the arms as you fold down. Hang your head. Pause here for a few breaths. Let the spine release. Find the freedom of breath inside. And then come up part way, fingertips to the floor, a little out in front. Peek your heart, your chest, your shoulders, and your gaze up. And then fold back down. Nice long exhale. Bend the knees a lot, a significant amount. Root into the feet. Inhale, sweep your arms out and up. And then out and down. And hands together in front of your heart. Again, same thing. Reach as wide as you can. Inhale, reach up tall. Exhale, fold forward. Hang your head, hang your spine, release your jaw and your eyes and your brow and your worries. And then walk the hands a touch forward. Peek forward with the chest, the heart, the gaze, the crown of your head. And then exhale, fold back down. Bend the knees a lot. Root into the feet. Wide spread arms as you reach up tall and tall and tall. And then hands together. One more time, same sequence. Inhale, reaching up tall. Exhale, folding down deeply. Fingertips to the floor, chest forward, gaze forward, shoulders up. Exhale, fold down. Bend the knees a lot. Root into the feet. Inhale, reach out wide, reach up tall. And hands to the heart. Pause for a few breaths. And with the hands joined together, the arms are connecting inward, right? From the shoulders all the way down to the hands. With the hands connected together, there's an inward action happening with the arms. Can you meet that with an outward expanse of awareness so that the collarbones provide a felt sense of reaching out wide, even as the arms are reaching in close? So wherever you notice a coming together, a turning inward, can you answer that with some awareness of a relative turning outward, a recognition of interconnectedness? All right. Inhale, reach up again. Exhale, arms out wide. Turn your feet to one side. So the first foot goes out 90 degrees and the other foot has its heel kicking back away from center. And reach out over the front leg, tip over sideways into an easy triangle pose. Don't aim to bring the hand very low. Don't care about the hand reaching the floor. Care about the wide expanse of the arms and the wide or the length, the long length of the spine, the width of the torso at every cross section, across the back of the pelvis and the hips, across the lower back and the sacrum, across the waist, across the ribs. And breathe. And then press into the feet. Inhale, rise up. Release your arms for a moment. Turn your feet to the other side. Kick the heel away from the midline so you get a fairly sharp angle inward with the back foot. Take the arms out wide again. Turn the heart to face the long side of the mat. Kick your hips back as you angle your torso sideways. Tip over. Triangle pose on the other side. And a deep breath and a wide reach. Present moment awareness. And pressing into the feet, wait for an inhale, and use the exhale to rise up and release the arms down. Turn the toes to the first side. Arrange the feet, bend the front knee, come into warrior two pose, sink the hips, keep the torso nice and tall. So the reach of the arms is enough. The reach of the legs is enough. The length of the spine can hold its center, can continue to integrate you into a singular moment and a singular space and position, even as there's all this opening wide. So opening wide doesn't pull us apart. In the end, it brings us together. Soft arms, release, straighten up the front leg, and then pivot your feet to the second side. Long, slow breaths. Bend the new front knee, arms out wide. You can turn your head to the side. That's a typical position of the head in a warrior pose. But if it starts to crank your neck in uncomfortable or weird positions, don't do it. No need. Just open wide. Just breathe. And then soft arms and turn forward. One more standing pose to the side before we shift gears. Bend the knee, come to side angle pose. Lean over on your elbow. It's fine to reach the floor if that makes sense for your body, if that's an easy reach. And it's fine to keep the elbow on the thigh. Extend the arm. So now the wide reach is along this side line of the torso from fingertips on top to foot in the back. And then come on up. Other side. Bend the knee, lean over. Place your arm wherever you want your arm to be, wherever it is that allows you to be wide open and integrated at center at the same time. Reach the top arm over the head. Long, slow breaths. Seek ways to turn the heart up and open. Always seek ways to open the heart. And then slowly rise. Turn your feet forward again. So they're parallel on the mat, all 10 toes pointing to the long side of the mat. Inhale, sweep arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. If the floor is a long reach away, you can build up the floor with blocks or a low table or the seat of a chair, anything to get your hands comfortably on something. And then take a few twists from side to side. As you breathe. And with each extension of an arm, notice how you are open wide. From fingertips on one hand to fingertips on the other hand, and everything sweeping wide in between. And then both hands down, bend the knees a lot, swing the torso down, and then round the spine as you roll up. Take the arms out wide. Inhale, reach up tall. Exhale, fold down. And now turn your feet to the one side again. Walk your hands over so you're in a lunge position. Lift up the back heel, turn the toes forward. And then twist towards your bent knee. Another twist, this time from the lunge. Hold it for a couple of breaths. And then bring the hand down. Drop the back heel and walk the hands around to the other side. And turn this new side into a lunge. Lift up the back heel, bend the front knee. And then open up the arms so you're twisting toward the bent knee. And then bring the hand down, walk the hands around to center, and then over to the first side again. This time, from the lunge position, climb your hands up onto your thigh, upright your torso, sweep your arms out and up. Warrior one position with a lunging leg, the lifted heel on the back foot. If this is untenable for your back leg, You can put the heel down. You can turn the hips a little bit. Or you can keep the heel lifted if all 5 of your toes are pointing forward. One more breath here. And then release and walk over to the other side. Lift up the back heel, so a big pivot around with the back foot, the toes pointing to the short side of the mat. Climb your hands up onto your thigh and reach up. And reach down. This time, from the lunge position, shimmy your front foot out to the side, swing it around, step back to downward facing dog. And from dog pose, widen your feet to the edges of the mat. A wide-footed dog. And then widen your hands also to the edges of the mat. A wide-handed dog, so all 4 paws are spread wide apart from each other. And then bring your knees carefully, gently to the ground and come onto your belly with your arms out in front of you as wide as the mat and your legs out behind you also as wide as the mat. Bring your forehead to the floor. Tuck your chin so you feel your neck on the back is a nice long, spacious line. And now take one handprint back with both hands. Your elbows will poke sideways. Lift the chest a little. Swing the elbows down and in toward each other as the heart and the chest and the upper ribs and maybe the lower ribs too lift up. So it's a sort of a hybrid seal pose, cobra pose. Long, slow breaths. Doesn't matter what it's called. Can you open wide while you stay integrated at center, while you breathe, while you consider your connection to what seems like it's external to you. And then come back down and just rest with your head to one side for a breath. Rest with your head to the other side for a breath. We'll come into that wide-handed cobra again. So the hands are a handprint back from the front of the mat, elbows poked out to start. And as you raise the heart and chest and ribs, swing the elbows down and in, and then out forward. Inhale and exhale. Take the shoulders out of your ears. Bring the elbows in toward each other. One more breath. And come out the way you came in. Come down the way you came up. Turn the head to one side. Turn the head to the other side. And now gather yourself up. Push yourself up onto your knees and then swing over onto your back. Lie down. Start with the knees bent. Do a few pelvic tilts forward and back. So you feel the relationship of the lower back to the ground. And then pause at center and stretch one leg out straight to the ground. Flex the foot at the ankle. Bring the other knee in towards you and then kick up your shin so the leg is relatively straight. Take your arms out wide on the ground. Take the lifted leg and cross it over to twist. So the hip that it belongs to is going to lift up and tilt sideways. So the pelvis turns on its side. And then if your back shoulder comes off the floor, that's okay as long as there's no strain. If there's a strain, come back a little bit, maybe put something under the foot. So you have your legs are crossed at 90 degrees in a twist. Whichever arm is on the same side as the crossed over leg, take that arm behind you and check to see that you have 4 limbs reaching in 4 different directions. We call this morning star pose. I love the way it feels like I'm just lengthening in every possible way. And then gather up your limbs. Bend the leg that's crossed over. Bring it back up, right? So you're on your back fully and evenly. Hug the knee into the chest. Do a little curl up. And then release that leg to the ground. And you can guess what's next. Bend the other knee. Pull that leg in. Kick the shin up toward the ceiling. Drop the leg over across to the other side. Arms out wide to start. And then whichever arm is on the same side as the crossed leg, take that arm behind you. So you have 4 limbs reaching in 4 directions. Breathe. And one more breath. And then exhale, gather up the limbs, bend the crossed leg at the knee, roll back onto your back, pull the knee in, curl up, and then stretch the leg out. And now widen your legs and widen your arms so your limbs form a sort of an X shape. And just take a few sweeps of breath from the crown of your head as you inhale, sweeping down to the pelvis and out through the legs. And as you exhale, imagine you can see the breath sweeping back up and out through not just the crown, but both arms. And after your next long exhale, start to move fingers, toes, wrist, ankles, elbows, and knees. Pull your knees into your chest. Poke your elbows out to the side. And then rock side to side. So you're landing on your elbows like kickstands to your left and your right. The whole body is rocking sideways. And then cross your ankles and rock a few times forward and back. And then recross your ankles and rock again a few times. And you may find enough momentum to come all the way up to sit. Spend as much time as you like seated, tall, breathing easy. And bring your palms together at your heart. May you find enough potential to open wide so that you can be of service in the world. Thank you so much. Namaste. Have a great day, everybody. Stay cool, stay healthy. You are so welcome. Thank you, everybody. Gail, Joan, Mary Beth, Robert. Thank you. Thank you, Cecily. Okay, bye.